This week we were called about a situation in which an owner had lost access to their snakes. We went today to identify the species, but decided to take them with us immediately when we discovered they had been without food, water, or heat for a month. This large ball python appears to be very healthy and in good condition considering the circumstances, so we went ahead and bagged her up. The next animal was a juvenile reticulated python. He also appears to be active, alert, and in decent condition. We believe this snake is a male. He did have one small wound that was mostly healed, which could have been caused by a rodent, or he might have just nicked it on something in the cage. The third animal is the one that we're really concerned about. This is a juvenile boa constrictor, and he is absolutely covered in mites. He was acting very lethargic, so we knew immediately something was wrong. We've seen a lot of mite cases, but we've never seen this many mites before. You can literally see them crawling all over him. Once we got home, we worked on soaking all 3 snakes in some water with a little bit of Dawn dish soap. Because the boa had mites, we had to assume they all had mites and treat them as such. Unfortunately, as you can see, the boa constrictor is not looking good. He opened his mouth as soon as we started working with him and was exhibiting some very strange behavior. The sheer amount of mites was insane. They were floating in the water, crawling all over him and us. While a mite infestation is never good, one of this severity on a young snake is very dangerous. He's thin, dehydrated, and definitely anemic. We're going to go ahead and call him Pongo, but to be honest, we're afraid he might not even make it through the night. We decided to hold off on feeding him because he's most likely going to need to be tube fed, and we didn't want to stress him out any further. But we did go ahead and give him some subcutaneous fluids. It's going to take many treatments to get rid of the mites completely, and we're hoping he makes it long enough for us to try. Thankfully, Pongo did make it through the night. And as you can see, the Prevenamite worked. There were hundreds of dead mites all over his paper towels this morning. We kept him in a small hospital tank for his first treatment, and we'll be throwing it away tomorrow and upgrading him to a larger enclosure. Tonight, we gave him another soak with some Dawn dish soap, and you can actually see some of the mites crawling up Nicole's arms. Luckily, all of the mites on the paper towels were dead, so we know we're making progress. We'll work on getting some calories into him tomorrow and getting him into our vets as soon as possible. Though I suspect they'll just recommend continuing with our treatments. Please keep sending your good vibes Pongo's way. This leopard gecko was surrendered today, and unfortunately, she's in pretty bad shape. She's a 4 to 5 year old adult female, and we're going to call her Clea. Clea has quite a few issues going on. We suspect she has a pretty severe vitamin A deficiency, also known as hypovitaminosis A. She's emaciated and absolutely covered in stuck shed. She has mouth rot, also known as stomatitis, and also appears to have mild metabolic bone disorder. We could see she was missing many toes, and other toes were necrotic. Her mouth had quite a bit of infectious material in it, like that big piece there. We gave her a little bit of powdered vitamin A mixed with water. We suspect this doesn't taste very good because most leopard geckos try to spit it up. After administering it, we like to hold them for a few seconds until they get it down. Look how cute she is now that her eyes are open. We started off with just 0.5 cc's of carnivore care, which she actually took willingly and seemed to enjoy. Next, Nicole used our formulary to calculate the correct dosage for the antibiotics. She used a 29 gauge needle, which is very tiny and should have caused very little pain. Finally, we applied BNP ointment to her eyes and some SSD cream to her feet. Clea's gonna have a long road to recovery, but we're optimistic for her prognosis. Clea the leopard gecko is looking so much better. She's still a little bit squinty, but she's keeping her eyes open. You can see she did put up a big fuss about taking her calcium. The most drastic improvement can be seen in her mouth. The inflammation from her stomatitis, also known as mouth rot, is pretty much gone. Again, she very willingly ate her carnivore care. though her eyes are looking so much better that we're pretty sure we'll have her eating insects by the end of the week. After applying BNP ointment to her eyes, we put some more SSD cream on her toes to prevent infection. And before we left the reptile room, Mr. Newton, the bearded dragon, wanted to say hi.